Good morning, minions, and welcome to this week's episode of No More Mr. Fat Guy TV. Now, this week's going to be a bit different again. We're going to focus on just one topic. I want to speak to you and explain something that's been out there for probably just about a week now, and that's really this absolutely bananas, crazy, mental idea that I've been posting about online. Which is basically to run from Perth through the major capital cities along the southern side of Australia, all the way through to Brisbane and then on to Ipswich. Now, for anybody, that would probably sound like a mental idea. I mean, even if somebody, and I've spoken to people who are experienced ultramarathoners, that's a big undertaking. The point is that I'm not an experienced ultramarathoner. The point is that I'm not an elite level athlete. If we just go back, and I just want to explain really where it all came from. December 2011, I was still I was still very much there, and I was the 142.6, probably more than that to be honest, but over 140 kilos, overweight, unfit, still smoking, still drinking, still eating terrible food. Laughing at people, literally like driving along in the morning and seeing people running and thinking, nutters, you nutters. People cycling, and just a completely negative attitude towards exercise, a negative attitude towards all that kind of stuff really, and not a particularly positive outlook on life. Fairly cynical, fairly bitter, fairly twisted. As I've mentioned loads of times, drifting through life, aimless. There are aspects of my life that were heading in roughly the right direction, but it was literally drifting. It was not under my control. It wasn't really shaping up as I thought it might when I was younger. I had that moment, as we've spoken about before. I had this moment where it all built up, and for some reason I just pressed the button inside and decided that I would try I would get fit, I would get healthy, and to make it as ridiculous as possible, I aimed to run a marathon. And as everybody on Facebook and my friends, my family know, that happened. I mean, it took about 18 months. It was June this year, 2013. I ran the Perth Marathon. 6 hours 47 minutes, so it was a slow run, but I completed it. I crossed the finish line, and doing so was absolutely unbelievable. The journey to get there was amazing. There's so many things that have changed inside, and there's so many attitudes and perspectives that developed and changed, and old thinking that completely disappeared along the way. And so literally when I got to that finish line, it wasn't the end that I had in mind originally. It actually turned out to be the beginning of an entire new chapter. Since then, it's now the end of October. So July, August, September, so 4 months. It's been 4 months. And in that 4 months since that's happened, I have become a completely different person. In many, many ways, I'd have this completely different outlook on life. But the biggest one is that I love running. And I love what running has done for my life. I love what running has done to my attitude. I love what running has done to my perspectives. And I love what running has done for my outlook on life. And I love the fact that I am now back into that mode of planning and wanting things from life, and being ambitious again, which was missing for probably nearly 30 years. That component was buried deep inside. So this is where the message of running changes lives really comes from, because from my personal experience, I know exactly how much that is true. I know how true that is. It is almost impossible to explain. But if you feel it, if you actually get to experience that kind of transformation, then it's amazing. It's powerful, and it's absolutely fantastic. Um, but I've also been talking to other people. I've been talking to people online. We've been doing things like the shit sorter profiles. We've been doing, just finding out stories, because it turns out that almost every runner out there has a story. And even if it's not exactly the same as mine, there will be, there's always some kind of thing in their life that running has maybe helped them to become unstuck on. Running is just seems to be, I think it's because it's such an accessible sport. You just literally need to put on a shirt, a pair of shorts and a pair of shoes, and you can get out and run. You don't have to be an elite athlete, you don't have to be anything. You can just go and do and perform at whatever level you're capable of. But in doing so, you find out about yourself, you test yourself, you learn discipline, you learn persistence. You stick to your training programs, no matter how formal or informal they are. But if you're out there regularly, 3-4 times, maybe more a week, you develop that discipline and the persistence and the focus, and you do see things through to the end. And once you start achieving targets, and once you start doing things like the marathon. The marathon was probably the first time that I'd seen a major thing through to the end in a very long time. It does change you, and that seems to have an effect on almost everybody that takes it up. And so, and there are stories of people who have overcome depression. There are stories of people who have overcome bereavement. There are stories. There are stories where running has changed people's lives so powerfully and so much for the better, that it just continued to build up inside of me this idea. I mean, I've become fairly evangelical about running and what it's done for my life, and then hearing more and more of what it's done for other people has made me realise that more people need to do it. That we basically live in a world full of unhappy people. We live in a world of people who are content, not content, but they feel they have to be content to just live lives that are ordinary, mundane, and are exactly what the template is described to us. That you go to school and you get your qualifications, and you find your career, you get married, you have kids, you get your 2-up, 2-down house, or your 4x2 house, and that's really all you can ever expect from life. And the fact is that life is not meant to be lived as just, you're not just meant to exist. Life is meant to be enjoyed, and life is supposed to be amazing. And what that means to you will be very different to what it means to me. But each and every one of us has that right and has that ability to grab life by the in both hands, and to go out and make it as amazing as possible, and to have the full experience of living that we all deserve. And running can help you do that, and because you get that foundation of fitness, you get that confidence. You learn to step outside of your comfort zone. You learn to set targets. All that kind of stuff just ends up coming together, and there's this magical effect that at some point along the way, something it comes together, and you just realise that that you can apply some of these things to life in general. It's not just something you do on a Saturday morning, for half an hour. That literally going out and getting fit and getting motivated and getting full of energy and feeling full of life will then just translate to you going out there and finding ways to take your own, to take that energy into life and to create better lives and to create amazing lives for yourself. And so that's where this idea has come from, because I have this need. I've had this need inside ever since to tell my story, from the basis of spreading that message and getting that message out to people, and trying to hopefully just inspire and motivate people to do something for themselves. Now, that's happening to a degree on the blog, and it happens to a degree on the Facebook page. It happened on a limited scale, I guess, doing the marathon, because there are people who have known me for many, many years who just didn't believe that I would ever do a marathon. You know, I didn't believe it, to be honest. When I said it, I didn't believe it. But even, you know, a marathon is so commonplace almost these days that really has fairly limited impact. So, and I've always had this craziness inside me, this love. I've always loved reading about people who've gone on grand adventures. I've always loved, like the Lord of the Rings type fantasy adventures, but also the real world adventurers. You know, people like Sir Richard Branson who just do amazing things. You know, travelling across different parts of the world in fairly extreme circumstances. You know, reading about many years ago, reading about things like the climbing Mount Everest, and you read about people who sail around the world, and you read about people who walk and cycle and motor, whatever it is, they do these crazy things. But you know that so you read their stories, and they have experiences and adventures, and they have stories to tell at the end of it. And at the end of the day, I mean, life is about creating interesting stories for yourself, rather than repeating the same one that's not particularly interesting day in, day out, that's based around a cubicle or a factory or a shop. Everybody deserves and needs to have exciting and interesting stories that they can, they have about their own lives, about themselves. So it's been there all along, and I think when I was thinking about inspiring and encouraging more people to take up running and to encouraging more people to think about doing more with their lives, that really started to come out again. The same with everything else that seems to be happening lately. Things that have been suppressed and things that have been buried away from the past have really surfaced again. And so that sense of adventure and that need for a bit of travel and adventure came to the surface. And it really all came to a head last Friday. There were a few things, a few conversations, a few things that people have said, and I just went, you know what, I'm going to do it. It's just something that is obviously I'm being somehow led towards. It's something I want to do. It's something that's burning away inside. It's this thing, this passion, this burning desire to have an adventure and to basically tell the story. And so I went online and announced to the world that basically across Australia, basically Perth to Brisbane, through those capital cities. The actual message and purpose of my run will be that storytelling. Will be it will be a massive practical demonstration that if you have an idea and you're passionate enough about it, then that's all you need. Everything else will come together. The logistics of the whole thing, the support crew, the nutritionists, the massage, the physio, the food supplies, the hydration, the clothing, everything will come together. At the end of the day, I think it's down as 1st of May 2015. On that date, I'm basically leaving Perth and I'm heading off on the road across the Nullarbor for it'll probably be the first time I do that, but across the Nullarbor through to Adelaide and then on to Melbourne, Sydney and so on. It will all come together. And that's really partly why I'm doing this video, why it's being mentioned on so much online, is that the more people that know about it, the more chance that the right people and the right resources and the sponsorships and everything will come together. But at the end of the day, it's a massive practical demonstration that you just have that idea, you take that idea and you combine it with passion, and it can be done. I have a sum total right now in October 2013. I think my running experience is something like 15 months. My entire journey so far, my fitness journey so far, goes back to January 2012, so it's not quite 2 years yet. Running wise, very, very limited experience. I've done 1 marathon, I've done 2 half marathons, I've done 3 10Ks. But I know I can do it. I know that anybody can do it. I'm not particularly special. And if anybody out there decided that they wanted to run across Australia, they could probably do it. So it's going to take preparation. It's going to take lots of training. I'm already getting heaps of advice from some wonderful people. There's so much support amongst the running community. It's unbelievable. The format of the run, as I said, my aim is that I'm going to take the message out there, and this is the practical demonstration. Along the way, other groups, there'll be things like the Rogue Runners Club Australia will be running sections with me. So they'll be obviously promoting the charitable cause that they'll be working with at the time. There are runners from all of the states have already put their hand up and said, yes, I'll run with you. Now they may run for their own charities, for their own causes, for their own purposes and reasons. I'm sure along the way there'll be opportunities to speak, there'll be opportunities to tell people sort of like my story, but also other probably charity events, just localised charity events that will just hang off this main thing. And then the big one, the current focus for Rogue Runners Club of Australia, and I'm proud to say I'm a Rogue member of the Rogue Runners Club. The current focus is a young lad called Blaze, who basically needs to travel to America on a regular basis to get therapy. I don't know if it's possible for that therapy to be done in Australia ever, but the final leg, what we've really been talking about with the final leg, there's a guy, Graham Whitaker, who's been extremely supportive. Thank you so much for everything so far, Graham, and for what you're going to continue to provide to this. But it's going to be Brisbane to Ipswich, and basically Ipswich Hospital, I think, is where a lot of the attention for this particular charity is. Graham actually runs a lot for Blaze, and it's going to be about a 40k or so leg. It's basically a final marathon leg through into Ipswich, focused around maybe either fundraising specifically for Blaze, or by then maybe it could be a fundraiser that will somehow help bring that therapy, to make that possible for that to be provided here in Australia, so that Blaze and other kids that need that will not need to travel to America, and it would all be here. So I don't know exactly how, what form everything's going to take. I mean, obviously we're not even planning at the moment. I mean, this is the broad ideas have been put out there, and details are starting to be nailed down slowly. But I do know at the end of the day, it will happen. The amazing running community on the online Australia, particularly the Australian online Facebook running community, are so supportive at the moment. And when this happens, I know I'm going to get to meet so many of them. I've received messages from people overseas who are already asking things like, when are you leaving? How many kilometres a day? How long is it going to take? Because I want to align my schedule so that I can come over and run some of it with you. And that's actually unbelievable. It's humbling. It's amazing, and I look forward to running with all of you. I look forward to sharing this story with many, many, many of you, and I'm looking forward to running into Brisbane and then that final stretch into Ipswich. I think we're going to have the biggest party that the running world has ever seen. I certainly will. I think it's going to be an amazing experience for everybody that's involved. And please, 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 if in any way, shape or form you can help make this happen, if you know somebody, if you've got the contacts, or if you can, you just have suggestions for ways in which you could help, or if you can offer your own services to be a driver, or a support vehicle driver, or whatever, in whatever way that anybody can help, it'll just be so appreciated. And thank you all for your support so far. Thank you for the support I know I'm going to continue to get, and I will see you all out there. I'll see you online in the next, I don't know, we've still got the rest of 2013 and 2014, but 2015 I will definitely see you out there on the dusty roads of Australia and in the capital cities, and we'll have an amazing time, and we'll make some seriously awesome memories together. So see you there. Bye.